I have severe PTSD from this crime. I have nightmares. My mother deserves to feel the pain I felt. I was never loved. And it was proven at a court hearing when they asked if she was willing to change and get me back, her answer was no. You didn't want your daughter?
Would not get my mom in a short. Her side was never heard, because in all reality, my mom was the victim of Rosa. And we've all...
Today we invite you to a courtroom drama that will tug at your heartstrings. As we enter the chambers of Judge Mertz, where a case unfolds that delves into the very fabric of family bonds and the heart-wrenching struggles they can entail. Our attention is drawn to a mother accused of being a bad parent, facing her own daughter as the star witness against her. The heart-wrenching drama extends to encompass an entire family, with a grandmother involved, and a history so fraught with conflict that it necessitated the intervention of Child Protective Services. As we navigate through this emotionally charged case, we are left with a myriad of questions. Who is telling the truth? What has transpired within this family's history to bring them to this point? And ultimately, which side will Judge Mertz choose to support?
Okay, that's better. Can you tell me your name for the record, please?
My name is Rosa Conley.
Thank you. And what is it that you would like to say here today?
I have my statement. So do I just read it from the top?
Yep, that would be fine.
Hello, Your Honor. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I'm Rosa Conley, Juana Conley's daughter. On November 30th of 2022, I lost everything. I lost my confidence, my strength, and my entire family. My mother took that all from me. That night was by far the worst night I'd ever had. On that day, I had cleaned everything and was doing so well in school, and I was proud of myself. I was trying so hard to give my mother reasons to be proud of me. She had been gone for hours. When she finally came home, I was eager to meet her. Excited to share my progress. I had no idea my life would change forever. When my mom came in the house and started a conversation with me, we talked a couple minutes about what I did that day. She then asked for my computer. I hesitated because it was the only way I could connect to the world. I asked her why. She then started raising her voice, and I was used to that, but it put me on edge. So when she reached for the computer by force, I knew it was... I guess I went into fight or flight mode. I tried to leave the room, but my mother and grandma stood in front of me and locked the door and the bolt locked. As soon as I knew I was trapped, I felt terrified. I looked for ways to escape, tried screaming and yelling, calling the cops, or please stop. I saw an open door to the bathroom and tried to make a run for it, but as soon as I did that, I felt her grab me. She missed the first time, but she got a grip on my sweater and I felt my throat get tight. I fought and fought to get out, but my throat was getting tighter and tighter. I cried for help. I started to feel lightheaded, and I started to see white spots all over. I knew I had to give up. After 2 to 3 minutes of struggling to breathe and squirming around for help, she threw me on the ground and I scooted back to the bathroom to try and the door. She then stepped on me and put her knees on mine. I couldn't move. The look on her eyes is something I will never forget. She wasn't the mom I had seen growing up. All I saw was a monster who wanted me to be in pain. I was against the bathroom sink, crying, yelling, and telling them to get off me. I didn't fight back. I couldn't fight back. I then got slapped by my grandma as I'm being called a drug dealer and terrible things. At that time, I knew I couldn't do this anymore. I threw everything and tried to leave the room. My mother was sitting in the rocking chair, and I told her I'm leaving to call the cops. Her response was, "Oh, you're gonna go meet someone. You're gonna go use your boobs. You're gonna go use your ass. Oh, I know you're gonna use your pussy." What kind of a mother says that to a 17-year-old daughter? As all of this was happening, all I could think about was my brothers behind that locked door. Could they hear me screaming and crying? If my mother was capable of strangling her daughter, what about my brothers? Are they going to be okay with that when I leave? When I left, I was struggling to catch my breath. I went to my neighbor's house to call the cops because I wasn't allowed to have a phone, and my mother refused to let me use hers. As I began walking, she said, "Good luck on getting the cops." I had walked out and I never would have thought that would be the last time. I risked it all, but I knew I needed help. When the cops came, they knew I was in danger between the bright red marks on my neck and the bloody scratch marks. I sat in that cop car feeling so scared and betrayed. This was the mother that was supposed to nurture and care for me no matter what. And what did I do wrong? Why me? I just wanted to be loved. At the time of the arrest, I was on probation and tether for running away. I had tried to tell so many people about the way I was treated. I went to so many mental hospitals because I hated my mother. I was a child, her child. I deserved better. I deserved to feel love. I wanted to feel love so bad so I can continue to run away. I was not heard. Nobody believed me because my mother is a narcissist and everybody believes her over me. I was getting in trouble for smoking and sneaking out. There was a reason behind it. I smoked away my pain and I snuck out because I needed a break. I was controlled like a prisoner. I was never able to leave my house. A long time before I ran away, I couldn't go in the backyard. I couldn't go on walks. I could only wear certain clothes. I couldn't go to school. I begged for help and not one person heard me. I wanted my mother to love me so bad. I wondered why I was treated so differently and why I am always a problem. My mother always told me how good things were when I was asleep or not there. I guess she got what she wished for. Her baby girl is in foster care. I'm all alone in the world now. I don't get to be with my brothers who I loved unconditionally. I don't get to have holidays, birthdays, or special occasions with my family. Mom, I was your daughter, not your dog. Foster care is terrible. I have to deal with waking up with nobody by my side. I have nobody to call and tell me about my day. I have no one to be there when I graduate. I have no one. My mother told everyone in my family, "Don't take Rosa, she'll just get you arrested." My mother got arrested and charged because of evidence, not words. Nothing I said to the cops compared to the marks on my neck. I want everyone to know I did not deserve this. I did not deserve to be treated like I was nothing. I did not deserve to be told I was a hoe. I did not deserve to get strangled. I have severe PTSD from this crime. I have nightmares. My mother deserves to feel the pain I felt. I was never loved, and it was proven at a court hearing when they asked if she's willing to change and get me back, her answer was no. You didn't want your daughter? I didn't ask to be born. The thing that gets to me is that I did cry out for help so many times. When I was put on probation for running away, I told the judge I would do it again because of my mom. There was an ongoing investigation from when my mother had me chokehold a couple weeks before her arrest. I tried to get somebody to hear me. The fact that I was always locked in the house and unable to even go outside said something. I tried so hard not to do stupid things that at some point I gave up. I felt trapped in my house like nothing would get better. The days leading up to the incident, I wasn't able to sleep alone or go to the bathroom with the door closed. I was constantly being controlled like a puppet. I failed 3 grades in a row because my mother refused to let me go to school. I remember crying to her, asking her, why can't I be a normal kid? I became really antisocial and I have social anxiety due to the lack of interaction with other peers. I also struggle with confrontation because every time I would talk to my mother, it would turn into screaming. I learned that speaking up was talking back. I now have to unlearn all the toxic habits and behaviors I was taught. In the end, I feel like CPS has failed me and they didn't listen to me until I got strangled. I also didn't agree to my mother's plea deal because a crime so bad leading up to me being put in foster care shouldn't be brushed off like it's nothing. I'm the one who has to suffer when she gets what she wants. My mother won't be there to watch me grow when I have my first child, when I graduate, and when I get married. By choice, she decided to give up on me. She walked out and left me to face the rest of my life isolated from my family and damaged. I was a child. You can't grow up hearing you are a terrible person and not start believing it. It took months of therapy and a lot of support from others, but I am doing better than I ever did while I was with her. I am finishing high school a semester early. I do not smoke. I do not drink. I go to school and have friends, and I'm working towards the goal of my future. I no longer have someone abusing me to run from. I'm no longer trying to escape the pain of my home life. Foster care is a lonely, sad existence, and I'm scared to enter the adult world without my family's support, but I know that I will succeed. I will not give up on myself. I will grow up and I will work with children. And when they tell me that they are being hurt, I will listen. I will have a family, and my children will always know that they are loved. So I'm asking you, Judge, will you please listen to me this time? Can my mother get the consequences for her actions instead of me? She abused me, and now I'm all alone in this world. How is this justice? She deserves a punishment that will make her know how it feels like to not be heard and all alone. This is my story, and I'm tired of her playing the victim. She had her chance to change and get her act together, but she didn't. So she needs to be held accountable. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Ms. Koch, anything that you wanted to say for purposes of elocution?
And I think the PSI states a lot of the issues. I think the family definitely has some issues, and those are put forth in the PSI. And the court's probably heard quite a bit of it now from the victim. I think the recommendation is appropriate. We were looking for a plea agreement that addressed all of the family issues and hopefully will allow some rehabilitative efforts on the defendant's part, which it sounds like she's trying to work on, and for all of the family members. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grimmer.
Judge, I would just ask the court before I allocate that the court hear from Ms. Conley first.
Okay, Ms. Conley, what would you like to say?
Unfortunately, they did not take my mom's statement on the day of that all this happened.
Yes.
Had they would have known that, because the way Miss Rosa recounted it is not the way it happened. The only time that her sweater was pulled on was when she was running in to my mom's room, and she had pushed my mom down less than a month before. So when I saw the look on my mom's face that she was scared when Rosa ran in there with her computer, that's when I grabbed the back of her sweater, and that lasted all of about 20 seconds at the maximum before I realized that she was going to go in the room regardless. And unfortunately, like I said, because the officer Ladlow and the former officer Nowakowski would not get my mom into a repair, her side was never heard, because in all reality, my mom was the victim of Rosa, and we've all been the victim of Rosa. Because now, I mean, our family is doing great. My daughter, Aaliyah, and my son, Daryl, are here, and things are going very, very well in our life. And, you know, I understand now that I acted like preemptively by grabbing her sweater. Now I know that that's considered domestic violence, no matter what, because I didn't let her harm my mom again. But I guess that's how it's supposed to happen. I should have let her do something to my mom. But again, my mom was never heard. And had she spoke English, you know, she would have been treated like an actual human that had a right to, you know, have her side heard. And my son Daryl and Legend were there for the entire thing. Rosa thought she was going to get in trouble with her probation officer, which is why she didn't want to give the computer over. And the last thing she said, which my son Daryl heard her say, is, "I'll make sure you go down with me." And that's been her goal. That's been her goal, is to paint me as the spawn of Satan. And, you know, so here we are. But again, my daughter Leah is here. We have an amazing relationship. My son Daryl is here. We have an amazing relationship. But had I not been protecting my mom. I mean, I wouldn't have grabbed her sweater for the 10 seconds that I did. But there was no other abuse as she's stating.
Thank you. Mr. Gerber.
There's no doubt that these are unique family dynamics between Rose and Juana. But I think the highlight is that at trial, I think there would have been a lot of evidence that would have come out that I think would have ended up with the same result that we're here in the court today. I don't believe there was any strangulation other than tugging on the sweater on the back of that sweatshirt for Miss Rosa Conley. Now, was Miss Juana Conley wrong in doing that? She was, and that's why she turned to that plea in the way she did that. There was no defense of others at the time. There was no self-defense at that time. Had she waited, perhaps that would have developed into something more where she would have had that defense. But that didn't give her the right to grab the child in that manner. Subsequently, Child Protective Services involved. They removed Rosa from her care, but the other two children remained in her care. And I bring all this up just so the court has the understanding that she is not this terrible person who's abused her other children or strangles her other children or has put her other children in any harm's way. That all of the other kids are in the home except Rosa. We did a risk assessment. I think the risk assessment addresses some of the underlying issues, that she's not a risk to other children, but clearly the dynamics between Juana and Rosa just don't mesh. And we argue for that very reason. She is doing well with Child Protective Services. I think there's one of two issues that are going to come up with that case, either expand on some further psych evals or ask the court to close that case as well, because she is doing well. There is no substance abuse history. She has no prior record. This is the first time with the court involvement in proceedings. And there's just a lot of evidence of Rosa's mental health issues, her being on probation, what put her on probation, and why Miss Conley. And I understand why she reacted that way, but again, under the law, if she would have just waited for something to happen, or at least if Rosa would have portrayed that there was harm occurring to another individual that was imminent, she would have been, able to assert that defense of others is a self-defense claim, which just in this case, the evidence didn't support. The timing didn't work out. I bring all that because, again, I think Ms. Conley was acting in that manner that she reasonably, as the parent and guardian, could discipline her child. I think it went a tad bit too far, and she's here. She's accepted her responsibility. She's here for the accountability of her actions. I think the recommendation is well within reason. There's numerous letters of support that we've submitted to the court. Families here, and if the court wants to hear from family members, I know her daughter would like to address the court as to their relationship. So we shed some light as to how Ms. Conley is in the house, and she's not this person as Ms. Rosa Conley is trying to paint her out to be. But with all that being said, I think some probation would be fine. She would pay her fines and costs. But the court is not going to put her on probation, given that there is a Child Protective Services case that is being monitored. I would be fine with that as well, Chair, but I will leave that in your discretion.
All right. I did have a chance to review the report. I've listened carefully to what everybody's had to say here today. And it does sound like a really unfortunate home situation, and a really difficult dynamic between you and Rosa. And what happened on this particular night or day, it's hard. I'm reading words on a piece of paper. I hear her version and I hear your version, and they're very different. And it's been my experience generally that usually it's somewhere in between there because of the way that people perceive events. And so I'm sure there's some truth on both sides of the issue here in terms of what actually took place, what level of threat there was, whether you needed to take the actions that you did, whether it was preemptive, whether it was justified, and so forth. I do think that, you don't have any prior record. Typically, if people have a problem with violence, then that shows itself before this stage of life. And so that tells me something that you don't have any prior issues with this. I do think that the delay of sentence is an appropriate resolution here. I think it provides a degree of oversight. You're going to have to answer and follow some conditions for a period of time. That in and of itself is a penalty in my view. There's certainly a financial penalty here. I think that addresses the wrongfulness of your conduct, also provides some assurance on behalf of the community that if you're able to successfully complete the delay of sentence, that, you know, this isn't a problem that's generally going on and that will be a problem in the future. And then the delay of sentence, again, allows you to have the benefit of the bargain in this case as well, in terms of your record going forward. So I really think that the resolution does kind of address all the needs all the way around here. So the court is going to follow that recommendation, place you on a delay of sentence for a period of 1 year. The court is going to adopt as the conditions of that delay all the terms and conditions listed in the report. The court is going to order 1 day in jail with credit for 1 day served, a crime victim's assessment of $130, court costs of $325, attorney fees of $350, $50 state cost, and a supervision fee during the delay of sentence of $30 per month. Because this is a misdemeanor, there are no written appellate rights. If you had questions about the ability to file an appeal of the sentence, about that, but if you wanted to do that, you would need to file. So there's a time limit on that. Other than that, just going to add, Mr. McFall, are you going to be supervising?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so if you just want to check in with Mr. McFall.
And I have, I added up the amount that's on the PSI, which I came to 855. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Take care of the funds.
Yes, but I have that in full to pay today.
Yep, and then just check in with Mr. McFall, that he'll explain that process to you as well. Ms. Koch, anything further on this file today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Gerber?
No, sir, thank you.
Ms. Conley, do you have a check or cash?
Cash.
All right, thank you. That's all for today, Mr. Boppel. Thank you for being present. It doesn't look like we're going to need your services, but we appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, or maybe she wants to receive today, she needs to pay me in here.
I'll bring it up, is that okay?
Just give it to me.
Viewpoints, interpretations, and insights expressed in this video are for education and entertainment purposes. All individuals featured in the video are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Please do not attempt to contact, locate, or engage with any individuals featured in the video.